It is a little after 7 o'clock. I will reconvene in open session this regular meeting of the Waco ISD Board of Trustees. We've been in closed session under Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. No action was taken. Wow. Welcome. We've got a huge group here this evening. Let me do a couple of things, just sort of housekeeping matters. Because of the size of the group, right off the bat, if you have a cell phone or other electronic device, if you would either turn it off or silence it at this point, that will help us move this thing along a little more quickly. I also want to remind you, as I do every month, that the board's purpose is to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and to make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve problems of individuals, as management is the sole responsibility of our esteemed superintendent and his staff. We have a great crowd. We will move through the special recognition as quickly as we can. Thank you for your continued support and interest in the Waco Public Schools. We've had a lot going on this spring, and it's very meaningful to see, have a meeting like this where we can see everything our students have accomplished in furthering their instructional endeavors. With that, I would ask that you join us for a moment as we pause for a moment of silence to remember and send our thoughts to the families, students, faculty, and staff at Santa Fe High School. Thank you. We will move on to item 6, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. DeBeer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we're pleased to have two fifth-grade students from West Avenue Elementary School to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please welcome Shaziah Murphy-Jones and Anthony Sanchez.
1, 2, 3.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, students. Board members, if you would please join us in front of the dais for tonight's special recognitions. To begin the special recognition portion of our meeting this evening, we want to express our appreciation for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance leaders from West Avenue Elementary School. Shaziah Murphy-Jones is a fifth grader whose favorite subject is math. She enjoys dancing, gymnastics, and cheerleading. According to her teacher, she's an outstanding student who scored a 100% on her STAR math assessment. When she grows up, she wants to be a dancer or a gymnast. We'd like to thank her parents, Shawana Murphy and Russell Jones, who are here for sharing her with us tonight. Anthony Sanchez is also a fifth grader. He loves math as well. His favorite activities include UIL, destination imagination, and sports like basketball, football, and video gaming. His teacher describes him as an outstanding student, and he also blew the STAR math assessment out of the water. When Anthony grows up, he wants to become either a lawyer or a doctor. We'd like to thank Anthony's parents, Lisa Rivera and Daniel Sanchez, for raising such a great student and sharing him with us this evening. We also want to thank Waco ISD's Adopt-a-School partner, Barnes & Noble Booksellers, for their support. Tonight, each of our pledge leaders are receiving a Barnes & Noble gift card and 2 books. Waco ISD is focused on student success and student outcomes, and the Achieve 3000 program was brought to the district this semester to offer students a way to challenge themselves and push their reading skills. This system, used by schools, measures a student's ability in their Lexile level and then matches individual reading materials to that level, challenging them and pushing them forward. Tonight, we're excited to recognize students from across the district who have made exceptional gains in their reading ability through the Achieve 3000 program this semester. Beginning with a group of students who have made Lexile gains in the last 4 months equal to at least a grade level to a grade level and a half. First, welcome Gabriel Alonzo from Dean Highland Elementary. Jaden Escabel Herrera from Cedar Ridge. Jonathan Torres Salas from Cesar Chavez Middle School. Jason Chavez from Cesar Chavez Middle School. Johnny Hines from GW Carver Middle School. Danasha King, also from GW Carver Middle School. Diana Martinez Madrigal from Tennyson Middle School. And CJ Sandoval, also from Tennyson Middle School. Our next group of outstanding readers made Lexile gains in the last 4 months that are equal to 1.5 to 2 grade levels of growth. First, please welcome Travius Brooks from GW Carver Middle School. Joshua Hernandez Carrillo from Cesar Chavez Middle School. Tatiana Drake from Waco High School. Serenity Diaz from Cesar Chavez Middle School. Ricky Martinez from West Avenue Elementary School. Ricardo Smith from Cedar Ridge Elementary. And I'd like to introduce one student who I missed in the last group, Ernest Battle from Cedar Ridge Elementary School. We have a student with us who in the last 4 months saw gains in reading levels equal to 3 to 3.5 grade levels, and that's Jamarcus Rutledge from Tennyson Middle School. And finally, I want to introduce Cesar Tenario from Bells Hill Elementary. He made gains equal to 4 grade levels of growth in just the last 4 months. These students certainly do the hard work in growing their skills and academic ability, but they're supported by an incredible staff of teachers, principals, and other district administrators. We'd like to thank everyone else who's helped to make the Achieve 3000 program a success. Waco ISD's Special Olympics program has blossomed in the last 5 years, and more than that, it truly has a special place in the heart of our superintendent. As students have competed against their peers from across Central Texas in a variety of events, we have several students that we get to introduce to you tonight who have competed in 2 or more events in each of the last 4 years, earning their Letterman jackets. Please welcome, first from University High School, Xavier Alvarado. Beatrice Garola. Jason Salinas. And rounding out the University Letterman, Jalen Simmons. From Waco High School, I'm excited to introduce Daryl Jackson. And Julian Ramirez. I want to congratulate our students who have worked hard to earn these jackets. I'd also like to recognize some of our Special Olympics coaches who are here with us tonight, Kurt McCullum, Mitch Holcomb, and Tiffany Tomberlin. Thank you for the work that you do. Waco ISD has a long tradition of success in the History Fair competition, and that quest for gold has placed dozens of Waco ISD students as national qualifiers in past years. The process begins early in the fall, where more than 500,000 students nationwide choose and begin their research. Then the 45,000 students participating in the History Day competition in Texas are winnowed through regional and state competitions to the select group that represents the state at the National History Day competition in June in College Park, Maryland. And this year, I'm excited that Waco ISD will be represented by 7 outstanding students in the National History Day competition. And I'm excited to introduce them to you this evening. First, we have a group from Atlas Academy that will be competing in the junior division of the competition. Henry Wood has qualified for nationals with his individual website. His website focuses on the Newsboys' strike of 1899 and took 2nd place in the state. Sarah Schlapp is qualified in the individual performance, where she won a state championship for her performance, Wolves of Yellowstone, How Wildlife Biologists Fought to Bring Wolves Back to the Park. And also in the junior division, we have a group performance led by Benja Ryan Bernias, Michael Clark Martinez, and Lucas Everett, also on the Newsboys' strike of 1899. Their performance received 2nd place in the Texas History Day competition. Our students from Waco High School will be competing in the senior division of the competition, and they're led first by Harper Hoover, whose individual performance won a state championship. That performance is about Nadine Gordimer and subtitled The Conflict of Apartheid and the Compromise Through Writing. Gloria Knatzer is also competing at nationals in the individual documentary. Her documentary, 3/5 to 13th, The American Compromise of Black Personhood, won a state championship. We want to congratulate all of these students on their exceptional work, and especially our state champions. I also want to introduce you to the social studies teachers and sponsors who make this activity possible. First, from Waco High School, Dr. Sunny Wells. Our Atlas Academy sponsor, Mrs. Shanna Lyles. And our district social studies content specialist, Dr. Robert Glinsky. Waco ISD has a long-standing reputation for having some of the best track and field athletes in the state. And tonight, we get to celebrate that tradition of excellence by recognizing an athlete who qualified for the state track meet. Waco High School's Taro Johnson is a senior who placed 4th in the boys' 5A triple jump at the state track meet held earlier this month. His jump represented a personal best of 46 feet, 1.75 inches. Congratulations for your incredible record of accomplishment at Waco High School and your success in state competition. We'd also like to introduce your coach tonight. Waco High School's track and field coach is Billy Overshawn. We have an incredibly growing, vibrant, successful speech and debate program at Waco High School. And tonight we get to recognize the members of the Waco High School cross-examination debate team that qualified for the state tournament. First, I'd like to introduce freshman Neil Dupuy, who won 3rd place in the regional competition to qualify for state. His partner, Bridget Eichenberg, is unable to join us this evening. And next, I'd like to introduce junior Libby Grant, who was part of the 2nd place regional team. She competed with Sarah Sriram, who was also unable to join us this evening. The Waco High School speech and debate team is not just competitive on the debate side. They've had an outstanding run on the speech side, where senior Tansy Ackerman is qualified for state in the 5A informative speaking category. She made the path to state first by earning 3rd place in the District 18 competition and then 3rd place again in the Region 3 competition. She competed at state earlier this week, and while she didn't place in the state tournament, she's now ranked 12th statewide in the UIL 5A division. Her performance and the performance of our debate students was brought out in large part by the work of our outstanding speech and debate coach at Waco High School, Kaylin Childress, and we'd like to congratulate you and thank you for your students' success. We love to recognize Waco ISD students who are successful not just in our region, but truly competing and excelling at the state level. And tonight we get a turn from speech and debate to art and recognize a student who is one of just 16 winners selected statewide from more than 2,600 entries. Our talented young artist is Isabel Mendoza, who's a 4th grade student at South Waco Elementary School. Isabel entered the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality's statewide contest, Take Care of Texas, as a classroom assignment that her art teacher gave her. And we'd like to recognize her art teacher tonight as well. Sigrid Whitford is that art teacher who sparked the spirit in her. I want to thank Ms. Whitford and congratulate Isabel once again on your statewide success. Moving from our youngest artists in elementary school to our middle school artists, we have a great group of students from the art department at Indian Spring Middle School who recently competed in the Junior Art Vase competition sponsored by the Texas Art Education Association. This annual art competition is truly a showcase for our students' talents. And tonight, we get to recognize 9 students who returned from the state competition with first place awards. Several of these students actually received perfect scores, and 2 received the Best in State award. Please welcome our first place art students from Indian Spring Middle School, beginning with Ophelia Franco, Melanie Gamero, Briseda Gonzalez, who is one of our Best in State winners, Adia Mendoza, also a Best in State recipient, Jasmine Rojas Gutierrez, Lizette Sanchez, Mark Guerrero, and Michelle Zamaron. This is the 4th year in a row that Indian Spring Middle School has had photographers who received first place honors in this art contest. And I'd like to take a second to introduce the art department at Indian Spring Middle School. Ezekiel Fielding is one of the art teachers supporting these students. Elijah Bearfield is our assistant principal. Shamiz Sora is an instructional specialist. Willie Keener is the coordinator of fine arts. And Dr. John Jenkins is the principal at Indian Spring Middle School. We know that our career and technical education program has exceptional success preparing students for what they do next after they walk across the stage at graduation. The experiences that the program provides uniquely qualifies them to launch a new career or to use those skills as a path to pay for and advance through college. Our students get to test out those skills in competitions statewide through the Skills USA State Leadership Conference each year. And we're pleased to recognize a group of students, first from Waco High School, who placed in their respective competitions at the State Skills USA Leadership Conference. First, please welcome Blaine Severson, whose architecture project received a blue ribbon and was rated superior. Randall Widener is our architecture advisor. Fate King's performance on the criminal justice technical test earned her a bronze medal. Anahai Segura's medical terminology performance earned her silver in second place. She's joined tonight by health science advisor Amy Helpert. We also have outstanding photographers in our high school program where Destiny Ramirez won a blue ribbon and a superior rating at state. Alexia Luna received a blue ribbon and superior rating at the state skills contest, as well as being awarded Best in Show. And our photography advisor, Jose Yao, who is also our photographer this evening. A number of our Waco High School students received blue ribbons in the automotive category. Please welcome first Mario Cano. Kevin Eusebio. Christian Ramos. Alejandro Rodriguez. And Nicholas Susteda. The automotive advisors who teach these students are Mark Pinney, Milton Campos, Mario Chavez, Casey Daughtry, I'd like to introduce the business advisor who works with the Skills USA team from Waco High School, Brandon Klassen. The Skills USA campus director at Waco High School is Tara Mulcahy. And our district career and technical education director is Donna McKethan. Our students from Waco High School were joined at the state competition by an outstanding group from the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy, and we're pleased to recognize these students this evening. Because the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy serves the entire county, the students that we're representing in this group come from 5 area high schools, including Waco and University High School. First, I'd like to introduce Jacob Irwell from Waco High School, who received a blue ribbon for precision metal. And a silver medal for his performance on the employability technical test. Jennifer Fernandez from La Vega High School received a blue ribbon for the general welding competition. She also earned a blue ribbon for her employment portfolio. Javier Flores from Waco High School received a blue ribbon for welding and was unable to join us this evening. LaQ Mabry from Midway High School received a blue ribbon for precision metal. And next, Cruz Pena from University High School received a blue ribbon for welding. Andres Perez from Waco High School earned blue ribbons in precision metal and a bronze medal in the employability technical test. Daniel Pillow from Marlin High School earned a blue ribbon in the welding furniture category. And Laquan Quinton from University High School received a red ribbon for his welding work. Taylor Willis received a blue ribbon for welding. Taylor's from Troy High School. James Wilson received a blue ribbon for precision metal work. James is from Waco High School and also received a silver medal on the employability technical test. And Noah Smith rounds out the group from Guama with a blue ribbon for his employment portfolio. Noah's from Waco High School. Our Skills USA advisors from the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy are lead welding instructor Fabian Lara. Also like to introduce Joe Rizzo, Sharon Orcutt, Amanda Yaden, Kevin Hunt, and Guama director Dale McCall. So as you can tell, there's an incredible amount of talent in our CTE program. So selecting the outstanding CTE students from a program or for the district as a whole is no easy task. In doing it, the Career and Technical Education Department looks for students who have a strong competitive academic foundation, who have demonstrated global and technical competence, who have career-specific goals and professional networking skills, embody self-discipline and critical thinking abilities. They start with the CTE Students of the Month, and from there they choose they first choose the high school CTE Students of the Year and then the district-wide CTE Student of the Year. From University High School, please welcome Alexia Galavez. Alexia is the University High School CTE Student of the Year and plans to attend Sam Houston State University. She's going to use that education to come back to Waco ISD and become a teacher. Our Waco High School CTE Student of the Year is from the Academy of Robotics and Electronics at Guama. Her name is Maria Brasino. And Maria plans to attend Texas A&M at Galveston, where she'll study electronic engineering. Part of the selection for the district CTE Student of the Year is looking at an essay that the students write. And I'd like to share a brief excerpt from our district-wide winner's essay. She wrote, "I wanted to do something that would resemble the hardworking and innovative generation that we live in today. The world is advancing, and if I wanted a piece of the pie, I needed to invest my time in something I never thought I would do, engineering. I never liked working with tools, and I was a clean freak at heart. However, I wanted to get out of this mindset. I wanted to get out of my shell. The world has no place for a shy and scared girl." Now a confident senior headed out for an incredible future, our Waco ISD CTE Student of the Year is Maria Brasino. We are truly proud of both of you and wish you the best of luck as you head out for what's next after you leave Waco ISD. Waco ISD's choral program has had incredible success in recent months. And we're proud that both of our high schools recently competed in regional competitions and returned with state qualifiers. Tonight's special because we get to introduce those state qualifiers to you, starting first with our university high school students who have qualified for the UIL Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest, which will be held in Austin this weekend. These students to qualify had to earn a superior, which is on the most difficult category of song in the competition, So tonight, I'm excited to introduce our University High School choir members advancing to the state contest, starting with Felicia Marquez, who's a sophomore at University High School. Selena Jaramillo, who's a senior. Esli Estupinian, who's a senior. Magnolia Oliphant, who's a junior. In addition to qualifying in voice, Magnolia also qualified on the piano. And that's significant because this is the first time that a University High School student has qualified for the state performance on the piano. Shambrika Craver Adams is a senior who qualified for state. And Diana Salazar rounds out our group of very talented musicians from University High School. I'd like to congratulate our University High School choir directors for the program's continued success. Our choir directors at University are Clinton Barano and Lucy Murphy. That's this group. We get to continue to sing the praises of our talented choirs by introducing you to some of the students from the Waco High Choral Department who made a great showing at the UIL 5A concert and sight reading competition, where both the varsity mixed choir and the varsity women's choirs earned the coveted sweepstakes award. We're recognizing tonight representatives of these choirs, beginning with Jonah Bernias, Elizabeth Grant, and Harper Hoover. Just a note about the varsity women's choir, they received straight ones from every judge in both concert and sight reading. I'd also like to congratulate our head choir director, Carrie Forhan. Turning from choir to band. We'd love to introduce our assistant choir director. I'm sorry that I don't have your name in front of me. Just be Luan. Now turning to our mighty Trojan band. They brought over 90 entries to the UIL solo and ensemble contest. Of those, 50 received first division ratings, 30 received excellent ratings, and 29 advanced to compete at the Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest in Austin this weekend. We are pleased tonight to recognize those students who received Division I ratings and qualified to advance to the State Solo and Ensemble Contest in Austin. First, please welcome Sebastian Berrigan. Jonathan Saldana. Ariana Salinas. Samuel Ceballos. Jordan Crawford. Selena Gonzalez. Felipe Ramirez. Jeremiah Roper. Jairo Valenciana. Sierra Martinez. Andrew Araujo. Victor Garcia. Jesus Barragan. Hannah Manning. Carla Castro. Heaven Diaz. Andrew Araujo. Jesus Barragan and Sebastian Barragan. Carla Castro. Samuel Sabias. Azariel Estupinian. Hannah Manning. No. Adriana Martinez. Andrea Martinez. Sierra Martinez. Alexandra Ramirez. Felipe Ramirez. Julian Rodriguez. Elsa Romero. David Roper. Jonathan Saldana. And Ariana Salinas.
And he's state and, just the state.
And Omar Martinez. Like to congratulate Archie Lee Hatton IV for the incredible program that he's built at University High School. The Waco High School Lion Pride Band will also be incredibly well represented at the 5A UIL State Solo and Ensemble Contest. Under the direction of Director Scott Stuhler, 25 band members qualified to compete at this prestigious contest, and we have one student who qualified on 2 instruments. Tonight, we're pleased to recognize the members of the Waco High School Lion Pride Band who earned Division I ratings and are advancing to state.
Can we introduce my assistants, Justin Lindsay and Arthur Torres?
I'd like to introduce 2 of our assistant directors, Justin Lindsay and Arthur Torres. And now our Lion Pride band members who are headed to the State Solo and Ensemble Contest in Austin, beginning with Caleb Lackey. Demetrius Allen. Julissa Villa. Marziano Greer. Harper Hoover. Josu Morales, who's our student who qualified on 2 instruments. Andrew Ramirez. Carolina Ugarte. Luis Gonzalez. Malcolm Jackson. Zachary Pate. Jonathan Susteda. Mariah Mason. Itai Vinces. Ashley Wilburn. Ramiro Alvarez Jr. Timothy Danforth. Jamisha Howard. Maria Perez Martinez. Alejandro Rodriguez. Daniela Ugarte. Zachary Heldenbrand. Charlie Henry. Brandon Leha. And rounding out our group from Waco High School, Isabella Riggs. I'd like to introduce first our assistant band directors from Waco High School, Tyler Sage and Rachel Whipple. And Scott Stuhler is our head band director. It's no secret that healthy children learn better. And so I'm pleased that tonight we get to take a moment to acknowledge the caring individuals who do their best to keep our students healthy, the individuals who make up the Waco ISD Student Health Services Department. Each year they hold an informal reception to celebrate School Nurse Day, and during it they select both an elementary and a secondary campus School Nurse of the Year. The nurses who were selected for 2018 truly demonstrate compassionate care of students, and they go above and beyond what is routinely expected of them to do whatever is needed on the campus. Their hard work, their compassion, their professionalism, their dedication truly makes a difference for Waco ISD students. And I'm excited this year to introduce first our Elementary Nurse of the Year for 2018, Brandy Wentworth, who is the nurse at Mountain View Elementary School. And our Secondary Nurse of the Year, Latoya Willis from GW Carver Middle School. Candy Markle is Waco ISD's coordinator of student health services, and we want to thank her and all the members of her team, but especially our elementary and secondary nurses of the year. The future of public education is so dependent upon the availability of promising women and men who are passionate about teaching. And that's really part of the impetus behind our next award. 7 years ago, Virginia Dupuy established the First Year Teacher of the Year Award to highlight outstanding rising stars in the profession. Beginning this year, we're pleased to recognize both a first-year elementary teacher of the year and a first-year secondary teacher of the year. Now, I have to tell you a little bit about Mrs. Dupuy, the woman that this award is named for. She's a former teacher, she's a former mayor, but without a doubt, she's one of our community's strongest and most well-known education advocates. And we are truly honored that Mrs. Dupuy is able to join us here tonight to present the awards that share her name. I'd like to begin with our elementary first-year teacher of the year, Mrs. Andrea Guerrero. She's a third-grade teacher at Bells Hill Elementary. In addition to the plaque, she'll be receiving a cash award sponsored by Dupuy Oxygen. And I want to share something that her principal, Rebecca Meckel, wrote about her in talking about why she should be the first-year teacher of the year. When you walk into her classroom, you feel like you are walking into a classroom of a seasoned teacher. There's a sense of calm in her classroom, and her students are always striving to become better learners. We want to congratulate Andrea as the winner of the First-Year Teacher of the Year Award, and thank her for choosing Waco ISD to start her teaching career and to make a difference for our students. The Virginia Dupuy First-Year Secondary Teacher of the Year Award goes to Autumn Hugel. Autumn is a sixth-grade math teacher. She's a sixth-grade math teacher at Cesar Chavez Middle School. She'll also be receiving a cash award sponsored by Dupuy Oxygen. And I want to share something again that her principal wrote. Suzanne Hamilton wrote, "Autumn goes above and beyond learning the content. She takes her students' qualities, hobbies, and interests and incorporates them into the lesson to engage the student even more so." We want to thank you, too, for choosing to start your career here in Waco ISD and for taking your students' passions and turning them into a passion for learning. Thank you. And thank you again, Mrs. Dupuy, not just for sponsoring this award, but for your tireless efforts on behalf of our students. Last December, we honored 25 outstanding teachers representing each of our Waco ISD campuses. Following that recognition, those teachers were invited to submit an essay about why they were called to teach. From those essays, a panel of educators determined finalists. We had district leaders visit their classroom, and those district leaders ultimately selected 2 teachers who we're recognizing tonight as our Waco ISD District Teachers of the Year for 2018. First, we'd like to recognize our Elementary Teacher of the Year, Brittany Sanders. Brittany is a 4th grade math teacher at West Avenue Elementary. She's taught for 4 years, and this is what her principal, Joseph Alexander, said about her. Ms. Sanders is a very strong advocate for her students and always has her students' best interest in mind. She's an excellent example of a professional educator with a growth mindset that failure is never an option in her classroom. As the 2018 District Elementary Teacher of the Year, Ms. Sanders is receiving a cash award of $1,000 sponsored by Insurers of Texas. And presenting the award on behalf of Insurers of Texas, please welcome Rodney Clark. Congratulations once again, Ms. Sanders. The Waco ISD District Secondary Teacher of the Year is Samantha Cubbage. Samantha is an 8th grade social studies teacher at Cesar Chavez Middle School. She's taught for 4 years, and I want to share something her principal, Suzanne Hamilton, wrote about her. Ms. Hamilton wrote, "Ms. Cubbage is one of our most patient and intuitive teachers. Her classes demonstrate how knowing your students' abilities, along with their interests and social needs, can benefit the learning environment for both teachers and students." As the 2018 District Secondary Teacher of the Year, Ms. Cubbage is receiving a cash award of $1,000 sponsored by Richard Carr Motors and presented tonight by Richard Carr and Mary Frances Carr Ellis. Our Teachers of the Year truly demonstrate the passion and the dedication that makes a difference for our students, and I want to congratulate and thank all of them. And with that, I thank you as well. That concludes our recognitions for this evening's meeting.
Mr. President, members of the Board of Trustees, we have also 2 special recognitions we'd like to have at this time, actually 3. First, on her second day on the job, representing the Waco Tribune Herald, new education reporter, Mrs. Lauren Dodd in the back. Let's welcome her. Then also we have Assistant City Manager for the City of Waco, Mrs. Deidre Emerson over here, recognized. And lastly, but certainly not least, the new City Councilwoman, Mrs. Andrea Bearfield.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. I've been asked to pull item O from the consent agenda and take it out of order. Is there any objection to taking item 9O out of order? All right, then we will proceed to discussion and possible action on hiring of administrators. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Second. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, members of our public, thank you for being here. The item for the record, can you read the item for the record, Mr. President?
Yes, it's, item 9O, hiring of administrators.
We have several special appointments to announce. First, we have 3 appointments that do not require board action. Please help me welcome the new Director of Special Education for Compliance, Mr. Keith Schneider. And then we have for the Director of Special Education for Instruction, Mr. Kurt McCullum. And last but certainly not least, the new Director of Special Education for Centralized Programs, Mrs. Suzanne Hamilton. We have 3 other positions that will require board approval. First, Assistant Principal at Bells Hills Elementary, She is currently the instructional coach at the Bells Hills. Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to recommend Mrs. Glenna Jenkins for the position. Do we vote or do all three? I'll also be recommending tonight for approval the new assistant principal for Parkdale Elementary. She is currently a social studies teacher at Waco High. Please help me welcome Mrs. Wendy Molds. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to recommend for assistant principal at the Lake Air Montessori School, the current instructional coach at Lake Air, Mrs. Haley Dean. Recommend approval as presented, Mr. President.
Hope you're not all embarrassed when you applaud before we vote. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. All right, unless there's an objection, we'll take all three recommendations on one vote, so I will entertain a motion to accept the administration's recommendation to hire Ms. Jenkins, Ms. Molds, and Ms. Dean.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Is there a second? Second. All right. Thank you, Ms. Tikel. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed? Now you can applaud. I'm assuming some of you look like you have family with you sitting in your laps. So do y'all want to introduce some of the folks you've brought with you this evening, or at least have them stand up so we can recognize them?
This is my husband, and he wouldn't fit in my lap. Although he would probably try, but nice to meet y'all. Wave, Michael.
Thanks, Wendy.
Remove the child from my lap. I have with me my parents, David and Linda Hill, my sister, Melissa Booker. Sorry, she just got married. And then I have my wonderful husband, Justin, and then my three wonderful children, Aiden, Lily, and Macy.
Thanks, Wendy.
With me, I have my husband, Todd Jenkins, and our two children, Ethan and Jocelyn.
Mr. Schneider is here. You have anybody to introduce? He didn't bring anybody, but just for the record, for the public to know, Mr. Schneider is currently Director of Special Education in the Gerald Independent School District, and he and his family will be relocating to Waco over the summer. Welcome, Mr. Schneider. We also have no stranger to us. Is that right? Yeah, he's well known. He's been serving as special education instructional coach. Now he'll be a director of special ed. Very beautiful story for him and his family and some of the sacrifices they've made. And we look forward to him helping us improve special ed instruction. Mr. Kurt McCullum, you want to introduce your family? Last but certainly not least, she's done an outstanding job serving in a host of different roles in our school district, but most recently as the proud principal of Cesar Chavez Middle School. I'm happy to introduce Mrs. Suzanne Hamilton. Introduce your family. Thank you very much. Also would like to thank the principals that are here tonight, Mrs. Meckel, Mrs. Tankersley. I don't even know the rest of it. I just know Tankersley. I see Mr. Love here from Waco High School, Mrs. Hall from the Tennyson Middle School. Anyone I forgot inadvertently? Mr. I was going to say Bob McAdoo, but I believe it's Alonzo McAdoo from Carver Middle School. And thank you all for being here. That concludes our administrative appointments, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. For those of you who have family and particularly children, we have some more matters we're going to take care of tonight. You're welcome to stay if you really want to, but you are not required to stay. So if you would like to leave at this point, you're welcome to leave and nobody will be offended. or you can stay if you'd like. Dr. Nelson.
I just want to make sure I recognize the queen around here, Miss Helen Smith from Cedar Ridge Elementary.
All right, we'll go back up to item 8, audience for guests. Did anyone sign up this evening? All right, we don't have any audience for guests. Item 9 is the oath of office, and that was administered prior to the meeting this evening, which now brings us to discussion, possible action on the election of board officers, reorganization of the board. Mr. Russick?
Thank you, sir. President Atkins, members of the board, Dr. Nelson. As you know, the Education Code requires each year after elections that the board reorganize itself. The statute requires that the board elect a president who must be a member of the board, a secretary who may or may not be a member of the board, and then such other officers as the board sees fit to appoint or elect. That being said, Mr. Atkins, I'm at the board's disposal as how you wish to conduct these. Starting with the office of president, I would recommend.
All right. Ms. Tico, go ahead.
Would it be possible for us just to nominate a slate of all three?
Absolutely. There could be a nomination for the slate of all three, and if that's the case, at the pleasure of Mr. Atkins, I would open nominations for a slate of president, vice president, and secretary of the board.
We've done that in recent years, and that'd be fine. So I'll entertain a motion for a slate if there is one.
I would recommend a slate of Mr. Atkins for president, Mr. Sykes for vice president, and Mr. Manning for secretary.
All right, we have a motion for Mr. Atkins as president, Mr. Sykes as vice president, and Mr. Manning as secretary. Are there any other nominations for a slate of officers? Hearing none, then I will close the nominations and ask for a vote on the slate as proposed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Atkins, that concludes the reorganization of the board.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
We'll move on to item 11, which is the consent agenda. We've already taken care of item O. I've also been asked to pull item B. Is there anything else anyone wants pulled from the consent agenda? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda with the exception of items B and O. Thank you, Mr. Manning. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the consent agenda is adopted with the exception of items B and O. We'll move up to take up item B. I think Ms. Tikel had a question or comment.
I did. So in light of the headline of the paper this morning, I thought it'd be appropriate for us to discuss the Prosper Waco contract that's in our packet tonight. First of all, just I'd like to talk about what services we get per that contract and what our commitment is to Prosper Waco to continue to renew that contract each year. Thank you.
Mr. President, may I respond?
Yes. No, go ahead, and then I'll.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to jump the gun.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, for the record, the contract that is being presented tonight is an annual renewal. This relationship has existed with Prosper Waco for several years. There are a host of services that I believe we get in return for this collaboration with Prosper Waco. Just a few of the examples would be data and analytics. They really have been a gatekeeper. I'm thinking about Dr. Chapman for helping us organize some of our reading statistics, some of our dropout data, some of our community work. They also help us with community engagement and coordinating after-school programs, and quite candidly, a host of wraparound services that go outside of the school day, outside of the school week. And so it's important for the public to know that several people help partner with Prosper Waco, including the city of Waco and others that are helping partner and basically utilize the services that they provide. Not sure if that answers your question specifically, Mrs. Tico. If you need more, just let me know.
Well, we haven't received a report in a while from Prosper Waco, and so may I ask that Prosper Waco come to an upcoming board meeting to share with us the services that we're getting outside of our performance contract with them?
Absolutely.
I think that's a good request, and I think it would also be worthwhile. You know, the reports we've gotten have sort of been all the different initiatives that are going on in the community. I think to the extent there is a contract with specified scope of services, we probably ought to encourage Dr. Polk to kind of make the report, at least occasionally, tied into these services that are part of the contract. So we can kind of monitor, in fact, is there a reason to continue that relationship, and kind of have him present the data to justify. And I think that's a reasonable request. And I think having those reports geared into these scopes of services is reasonable. Yes.
That's a good point. The other thing I want to be clear on is that I believe in this contract somewhere, I'm sorry I can't find it, this payment is supposed to happen twice annually. And so I think that the report should be in conjunction with the payment. So a month before we're going to make a payment, we get an update on the scope of services. So we'll make a note of that.
At very least, and maybe even more if there are things that need to be brought to our attention.
Absolutely.
On the obligation, Ms. Tico, I think the idea of Prosper Waco was originally initiated as a public-private partnership with the public entities investing, and that was one of the things that made it unique. But I will also say it is specifically an annual contract. And if at any time a majority of this board no longer wants to renew or extend that contract, I think that at that point, there's no commitment that, obviously this board can't obligate future boards to an annual contract. I mean, it comes up every year. There's not a notice of termination. There's not an automatic renewal. I guess we could talk about doing that, but barring that, I think every year it's up to our approving it and continuing that relationship. Mr. Dupuy?
Yeah, Pat, I guess at this juncture in time, we're sort of wrapped around each other, and I'm certainly not going to vote against this, but what I would, I think, like to see in the future, and not just the services are being provided, but, you know, if there's a way to identify some real results that we are getting in return for our investment. You know, with our current partnership going on, I guess our contribution to them is kind of a drop in the bucket in the big scheme of things, but long term, I'd like for Prosper Waco to be focused on being able to demonstrate the very real positive impact they are having on our ability to educate students, because that's what we're supposed to be about. And you're not going to disagree with that, and I don't.
No, I think I don't know
how you do that either. I think it's going to be it's a tall order, but
I don't know that it is. I mean, when you look at, I was part of the small group that originally was putting this initiative together, and the idea was there would be reportable data tied to outcomes, the very thing you're talking about, not just participation, not just inputs, but being able to demonstrably measure performance outcomes in different areas across the community. And I think getting those to tie into our educational outcomes, and there are specific educational measures that they track throughout the year, and I think having that focus so that we know, as you say, not only getting services, but there are services to a particular point and a particular outcome is...
this time next year, I'd like to be really excited about voting for this.
Right. It's a bargain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I agree.
Because it's the best money we spend.
Mr. Sykes?
Point well taken.
Thank you, Mr. President. A point of clarification, Dr. Nelson, and I like the idea of the report month before payment, but I'm not sure if that would require or allow or necessitate a modification of this contract. The contract looks like it's executed as of this date, and in paragraph 4, the payment indicates the next payment is the end of June. So we're at that 30-day period.
Right.
So I'm wondering, I like the idea a month before payments due, but maybe.
We're already past that.
Right.
Right. I really meant for the future.
And since we are going to have 2 payments apparently, or we will, perhaps maybe some interim reports, smaller, shorter interim reports may be appropriate as well.
Yes, sir.
You know, to follow up on that, under paragraph 3 of the contract, I believe there's supposed to be quarterly reports the section's called evaluation of services. And I think it envisions meetings perhaps between Prosper Waco and you or your designee. But I think making those reports at the workshop quarterly would probably be worthwhile, so the board has that information as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other questions or comments? All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the Prosper Waco contract for services. Thank you, Mr. Dupuy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Tico. Any other questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed? That disposes of the consent agenda. Move on to item 12, reports and discussion, Lone Star governance, continuous improvement, secondary reading performance. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have our secondary reading coordinator, Mrs. Donna Trigg.
Nope. Donna Morgan.
I wanted to introduce her before I introduced Miss Morgan, before everyone rudely interrupted.
We are the
Nice
Donnas. We're used to being together, so.
We were recognizing folks on the back row. Donna Trigg, and I think that was appropriate.
I apologize for that. Mrs. Morgan has done a great job this year. She's actually been serving in a dual role where she served as the secondary reading coordinator and our physical education coordinator. So we're going to make that change for the fall. She'll be focusing 100% of her time on secondary reading. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Morgan.
Thank you, Dr.
for our
Nelson.
presentation. Oh, we're going to get somebody. Don't worry, we got somebody else going to do full time.
I knew I should have. My PE teachers here.
Shouldn't have said it. It's another report coming. All right, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Thank you, board, for having me tonight. We are so excited about secondary literacy because we have so many things to celebrate tonight. One of our greatest things to celebrate is reading furnishes the mind with matters of knowledge. It is thinking that makes what we read ours. Anytime we make reading our own, it becomes personal. We internalize that. We start thinking about the different knowledge that we want to take away from our reading experience. With that being said, our secondary classrooms, we've had effective literacy classrooms. We've scaffolded our lessons. We have units that are differentiated for each of our students, as well as we have differentiated our classrooms through the level of questioning we have had in our classroom. We have small group work as well as individualized instruction, as well as assignments. Our classrooms are learner-centered environments, and they focus on real-life problems. We always want to connect any of our learning back to real life. I'd like to introduce you to my right and my left hand at times, Miss Joyce Stimson. She has been my reading coach the last 2 years. Joyce, please come up here. Miss Stimson and I have had the pleasure of really devoting a lot of our time at both of our IR campuses this year at Carver Middle School as well as Indian Spring. Ms. Stimson and I have been able to pull small groups from the 6th grade that we noticed needed that extra intervention time. So Ms. Stimson has been an integral part of helping Carver grow, and you're going to see that in just a little bit. Thank you. We also use the supports of Lead Forward. Lead Forward helps diagnose and prescribes our TEKS so we can break down our TEKS with that TEK understanding for our teachers. With that being said, Lead Forward also has scaffolding documents in there to help our teachers to see, oh, wait a minute, they were supposed to learn this skill in 3rd grade, but wait, they still are missing it in 7th or 8th grade, so we may have to do some interventions for our students. We also have Google folders available to all of our teachers. These Google folders have our test blueprints as well as AVID resources, district tests, vocabulary, and there are all kinds of intervention activities that they can use in their classroom. Some other effective classroom supports we've had this year are our planning process. We are planning with our backwards planning and lessons. With that in mind, we always start with our common assessment first, and then we begin building our lessons around what are our TEKs that we are wanting to teach for that 6 weeks. So with the end in mind, we know where we want our lessons to be prescribed. We also have our PLC framework, and that PLC framework promotes our planning. We're looking at our student work analysis as well as data. With that student work analysis, that is an area of growth that we will be making because we worked on it and it worked out okay this year. We were able to bring in and analyze different pieces of student work. We might have looked at warm-ups one day. One week we might have looked at journaling. When we looked at the journaling, we look at it across the grade levels. So that way, are we seeing trends? Are we seeing patterns? Are there TEKs that we need to go back and spiral back into our lessons? With that being said, our curriculum support is offered individualized by campus, by grade level, and sometimes even by teacher. It just depends on what that teacher and that campus needs. So we want to make sure our curriculum support is instructive and informative for those during those PLC times. We know time is valuable, so we have tried to, especially with Carver and Indian Spring, we worked with at least once a week having some sort of curriculum support. This is a different way to teach inferencing, or this is a different way to teach summarization, depending on what was up and coming in the units. We also have implemented the Super 7, our Super 7 with high expectations, advanced questioning, journaling, academic vocabulary, and of course, posted objective and weekly planning. Our middle school and high school teachers have that luxury, thanks to our bond, several years ago, that we were able to have 90-minute classes. With that being said, those 90-minute classes also provide a PLC time daily. Our PLCs are where we do our planning, where we're breaking down those TEKs, where we are also breaking down the data to support our lessons. With that, if we know and we look at our data first, we know what needs to drive our instruction. Because if we're not analyzing student by student, looking at their needs, we're not going to meet every single need. And our growth is huge right now in middle school and high school. We've had growth because we have been very prescriptive with our individual students. We have supported our instructional specialists through IS collaborations. Right after we took our DBA, we knew we had 5 weeks till we took our STAR test. We have been gauging and spiraling back TEKs as we went through the year. But after taking our DBA, we noticed there were some trends that, ooh, wait a minute, the students were low on these TEKs. Ooh, they did really well on these TEKs. What lessons do we need to be prescriptive with for each individual student? We looked at that data, and then across the district, the instructional specialist brought in lessons, their best lessons that we could share across the district from campus to campus. We also put those in the Google folders as well, so those are shared with teachers. Okay? This summer, in just 2 weeks, we will have an instructional specialist boot camp. We did a boot camp with the instructional specialist last year. We were able to help the instructional specialists with coaching. How do we coach our teachers? What does our professional learning community framework look like? How do we implement that? Well, we did really well on implementing our framework, but we might have missed an area. So one of the areas, again, that we're going to go back and readdress is that student work analysis, because we want to really hone in on that this year. We're also, K through 8th grade has the pleasure in 2019 and 2020 of receiving new TEKS from the state of Texas. So this summer, we had a survey back at the end of April. Let me back up just a minute. We had a survey that we sent out to all of the teachers across the district for their feedback on creating thematic units. With our new TEKS are going to be more not so much genre-based, but we're going to be intertwining and blending reading, writing, speaking, listening, and thinking. Those 5 areas need to be blended. And so we want to make sure we're addressing that with our lessons. So with the thematic units that we have planned with the teacher's feedback, we have laid them out 6 through English 4. They flow horizontally as well as vertically. High school will be receiving new TEKS in 2020 and 2021. So we want to go ahead and get a jump start on this and seeing where our current TEKS fit in with our new TEKS. Moving forward, we have some data, a little bit of 6th grade data here. 6th grade, we improved from our 2016 STAR to our 2017 STAR. We increased at Carver, Indian Spring, and Lake Air. We are celebrating our IR campuses because our IR campuses are moving forward. You will see the 2018 DBA took a dip backwards. We acknowledged that. We looked at that, and within those 5 weeks till we took STAR, we rearranged our groups. We took the kids as a whole, so 6th grade as a whole, we rearranged them into small groups to address their specific needs. We rotated the students through 3 different classrooms at times because we were working on 3 different skills during those 90 minutes. So we are hoping that we're going to see growth. Now, that also being said, we have a lot of our 6th grade students that came in with many deficits. With us knowing that, Ms. Trigg and I worked very closely together to bridge those 5th graders coming into 6th grade this year so we could immediately start intervention the 2nd to 3rd week of school. So they had already been identified at the beginning of school, and we started intervening on those learning gaps. 7th grade data, our 2016 to 2017, we also improved. We made small gains, we made some larger gains, and we saw the same thing happen with the 2018 DBA. Now, with the 2018 DBA in 7th grade, what we saw was we took that DBA right after we took the STAR writing test, about a week later. So we're not sure, we saw that they took a dip from the 2017 STAR to the 2018 DBA. With that being said, we analyzed and took the same approach with the 6th graders of rearranging those groups, rearranging the TEKS and the students to meet their needs. We had prescribed lessons for them within LLI, which is our leveled learning literacy interventions. We also had specific academic vocabulary lessons for them. So that way, was it a question? Did they not understand a word in the question? We started even analyzing it that far down. We were wanting to break it down as far as we could go. We did have some students tell us, you know what, I didn't use the dictionary. It was like, wait a minute. Those are your gimme answers. You can look that word up. Everybody has a dictionary. So we have made those adjustments to 7th grade. So we're hoping to see growth there. This is where our big celebration is. Our 8th graders, our current 8th graders, holy cow, they have done so well. They have put the work in. With our 8th grade cohort this year, Carver made a 30-point difference from where they were at in 6th grade to 8th grade. That is phenomenal growth. And last year, at this time at First Administration, we were barely at 50% passing. So we have surpassed that this year at Carver. Cesar Chavez, we grew by 1 point. We're excited about that. Indian Spring, double digits. Again, 22-point difference from 6th grade to 8th grade. Lake Air, a 16-point difference from 6th grade to 8th grade. Something that's interesting to notice at Lake Air, we did a little changing with our 7th and 8th grade this year. We have one teacher that is teaching the 7th and 8th grade multi-age class. So with that being said, he was able to focus, he was able to put all of his focus on ELAR. Last year, he split it between social studies and ELAR, and that sounds like, yes, we can go across curricular very easily, but there are still some skills of reading that we have to specifically teach because we did have some learning gaps. Tennyson, we're moving forward as well. This right here is impactful because you can see our students put in the work. You can see that our teachers have put in the work to help those students make those gains. And I'm excited to celebrate those 8th graders because I know when they were in 6th grade and that 28% came across, I was like, oh, what are we doing? How are we going to get them there? Are we going to get them there? Yes, we are, because I believe in our students. I believe in every one of our students. I've done this a long time, and I don't mess with my kids when it comes to their instruction because I want what's best for them. Sorry, I may start crying. 8th grade scores this year, we have 2017 to 2018. You can see again just the gains that we have made in 8th grade. It is taking us 2 full years to get that gain in 8th grade. This year, we also want to celebrate that our Carver and Indian Spring, they're close. They are close. So we have teachers that have worked extremely hard. We have planning, diagnosing it. What does this student need? How can I be prescriptive? And each child basically has had their own prescription. These are the TEKS they need to cover. These are the TEKS we need to spiral back in. You'll notice also in our approaches to meets, we want more of our students moving to the meets category over the next few years. On to English 1. English 1, I want you to know these scores came out yesterday. These are very rough estimates, very rough estimates. These scores were calculated by hand, and they include all of our students, even our students that are not included in our snapshot. So the true accountability numbers will look a little different when the actual scores come back, as well as these scores show right here. If they are an indicator of what's to come, we hope to see even more progress being met. English 2 is the same way. Those scores again came back yesterday. They are very rough. But we are moving in the right direction. We are moving, staying in the green. We want to keep our students hitting that target and that goal. We want them to graduate college and career ready. Some of the resources that we have used this year are obviously our textbook. We've used novels. We have every one of our secondary campuses are an AVID campus. AVID is best strategies. They are best practices. And then our Tier 2, we've used our level literacy intervention kits. Those are the kits that we have used for our students at their current reading level. This semester, and we celebrated those students this year, or just tonight, with Achieve 3000 who have made that growth. And I do have to say there are 2 of Mrs. Stimson and I's students up here tonight receiving those awards, and they could not have been more proud. They had smiles on their faces. They're like, what do I do when I meet the board? So they are excited. They love working with Achieve. Now, that being said, even though Achieve has it's a computer program, yes, but it is also teacher-led. You'll notice some of the performance highlights that we have received. These numbers reflect the whole district. So most of our students have gained 59 Lexile points in 4 months alone. We have students that are exceeding their reading growth by 57%, as well as 11% of the students are headed into the college and career readiness. They are already reading at their maximum Lexile levels. We also have 46% of our students across the district logging in after school or on the weekends just to read an article about World War II. We had a student the other night that he said, that's all I read. I read only things about World War II at the advanced academics 5th grade or elementary presentations. And I can see him going right to this program. He finds his article about World War II. He reads it, and he's interested in it. That is what is so nice about Achieve 3000. With our secondary students, we have 598 students who have 3.5 times the expected reading growth just in 4 months. Achieve predicted us to only have 33, and we exceeded that to 124. So those are students who have tested at 75% or higher on each of their activities. Last time, when Ms. Trigg presented, Mr. Dupuy, I know you had a question, and I brought you a couple of articles, so I wanted to also show the rest of the board the difference between the Lexile levels of the articles. You'll notice this article is an 8th grade article. The one on my left, your right, I think that's right, is a 400 Lexile level. The paragraphs are shorter. The complexity of the vocabulary is a little bit easier. And then the one on my right, your left, is 1180. That Lexile level is an actual 8th grade reading level. The 400 Lexile level is below 4th grade reading level. But you can see that they have a lot of the same information. You can still have a classroom discussion about it. The 5 parts that teachers must do, they still have to introduce their lesson. They still have to have a hook. Before reading, we have a before reading poll question. And that's usually an agree or disagree to a statement based upon the article. They also type in their answers. The second part of the lesson is they go and they read the article. The students read the article on their own. And then the activity, there's anywhere from 8 to 10 multiple choice questions. Some of those questions have graphics, tables, charts to go with them, as well as we have an after poll question. So after reading the article, you might have changed your mind and don't agree with the statement from when you started the article. We also have a thought question, and that thought question provokes the students to have that discussion, as well as they are writing and typing in their answers. You also see 4 other tabs at the top. Those 4 other tabs are light colored because you don't have to do those with every lesson. That is the poll results, the math question, and the math question for this article can be anywhere from how many I'm taking a trip and I have a 16-gallon tank in my car, and how much is it going to cost me to purchase my gas. So it's always related back. The stretch article and the stretch activity is the article that is on grade level. So you could even do the article one day on their instructional level, and the next day you can do the article that at their grade level. Also within Achieve has careers and readiness there. So you can see the top careers that have been chosen. This is just the secondary results. Out of 842 of our students have checked out some of these careers. Our top careers across the district have been a video game designer. And every one of us know video games are hot. Our kids are technology savvy. The second one was a coach, and the third one was a police officer. Things that are very relevant in their lives. You notice that you have to be able to read at a 1300 reading level for any one of those careers. Now, when they go into the careers, they can find out, hey, what's the salary? What kind of education do I have? Do I have to have a certification? Do I have to have a bachelor's degree? Do I have to have a master's degree? Or do I have to have college? So they're looking at different careers. One thing that they also have looked at is I had a student tell me, you know what, I was going into nursing, but I didn't know there was several different types of nurses. I could go into pediatrics, or I could go in and be an ER nurse. So there are articles that just pique their interest, and sometimes they just want to find out more information. Some of our instructional priorities over this year as well as next year, we will continue to individualize our campus support given during PLC or after school. We will also continue modeling, coaching, and co-teaching at our IR campuses. And my reading coach, Ms. Stimson, again, as I said, is my right and my left hand. She has helped with modeling, coaching, and co-teaching at both of the IR campuses. We will continue to align our planning with our PLC framework. We will also continue working with Ms. Trigg with elementary to bridge that gap between 5th and 6th grade, as well as 8th to 9th grade going in. Next year, we will have a reading class for students who did not pass their 8th grade STAR and are GPC'd into 9th grade. So we have a class that they will be going into for extra reading support. The last thing that is on this list, and I know it has to do with writing, but I wanted you to be aware of, TEA gave us the opportunity through Region 12 to become writing raters through the pilot writing program through the state of Texas. So we have over 15 teachers that have taken that opportunity, as well as myself, Ms. Trigg, and Ms. Stimson, to be on that cutting edge of where is that writing test going to take us in the next couple of years. So that has been very exciting to see. Moving forward, we will continue our professional development, 6 through English 4, as well as planning those thematic units with our new TEKs as feathered in with our current TEKs. We also will continue to work on our PLC framework with accountability and with our focus being on that student work analysis. We also will continue our unit planning. That has worked out very well this year. And making sure our new teachers are supported with the misconceptions, the release questions of what does STAR really look like. The last piece, we will continue supporting our instructional specialists on campus. We cannot do anything without them because they are our boots on the ground to our campuses. We go to them, they come to us, we rely on each other back and forth. So we want to make sure they are very prepared for their role, as well as how do we coach those new teachers. We know in middle school this year we will have several new teachers that we are going to need to support with content, as well as supporting our veteran teachers that have been here a while in implementing new strategies in the classroom. At this time, this concludes my presentation, and do you have any questions?
Mr. President.
Mr. Manning.
Going back, maybe I missed something on that 400 Lexile and 1180, the two
Yes,
different
sir.
stories.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when a student, who determines, you said that the 4 and the light green, the poll results math, who determined that they do that? Do the instructions, the instructors, teachers do that, or y'all, someone else determine that, or the student themselves?
Well, it's not the student themselves. The teachers, that 5-step process is part of the whole lesson. So that 5-step process has to be done. Sometimes that might take one day. It should take one day and about 45 minutes. And the teacher is leading the pre-reading discussion. Then there's during reading discussion that happens while they're working on their article. And then there's after reading questions that they have to answer. The teacher guides them through that. This is not a go sit and you're on your own and you're learning by yourself. That is not what Achieve 3000 is intended for.
Well, then, at the beginning of the hour to the end of the hour, will the student be able to go from 400 to 1180?
No, sir. No, sir. What happens is we test them if we'd have started at the beginning of the year, we would have had a beginning of the year, a middle of the year test, and an end of year test. So what we did at the end of December and the first part of January, what Achieve calls it is a level set. That level set determines their reading level. Once that level is set, it adjusts according to how the students are doing on the activities.
By their own personal progress.
By their own personal progress. And at the end of the month, that Lexile level adjusts. So a student at the end of the month may make 25-point growth each month according to how many activities they complete, as well as making sure they hit that 75%.
So they have, if you're saying that they have their own personal goal that they individually work on, and that is the whole purpose of it, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And middle school students, if we would have done this program for a year, Achieve shows us that middle school students should achieve 70 points or more. And usually that's the growth that you see. What's been nice this year is that we have had science and social studies supporting ELAR with doing the Achieve articles. So ELAR has been responsible for doing 2 Achieve articles a week, and science and social studies have done 1 each as well. So, and ELAR supported science and social studies by reading topics that are science and social from the science and social studies curriculum.
Okay.
Other questions from the board? Comment? Mr. Sykes, go ahead.
So, and you may have mentioned it, but in terms of the topics presented or available, does the teacher request or I guess select those, or do the students have an opportunity to select?
Both.
Okay.
Both. The teacher has the opportunity to select based upon what novels or mentor texts that they're using within their class. For example, 8th grade, they were studying World War II, and the novel they were reading was Night. So all of the articles that she pulled were pertaining to World War II, which makes it very nice because you don't want students reading an article about telephones and it's not relevant to what they're learning about at that time. Students also, Achieve pushes out articles every day or every week. They'll push out articles to students, and so students have that opportunity to choose their articles as well. Yes, sir.
Mr. Sykes, other questions? Ms. Morgan, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We will move on to item 13, which is announcements. Mr. DeBeer.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we head towards the end of the year, there are a number of great celebrations that culminate in graduation on June 2nd, with University High School graduating at 10 a.m. and Waco High School graduating at 3 p.m. with both ceremonies at the Farrell Center. I want to highlight just a couple of things that may not be in those big celebrations, but should still be on your radar. The first is tomorrow, a continuation of the battle cry for community engagement that Dr. Nelson's brought to Waco ISD in a luncheon for about 65 faith leaders from across the community that's really going to talk about how that circle can expand and we can have a faith alliance that drives community engagement and support for our students in our schools. On June 4th, I want to thank Extraco Banks for hosting the National History Day qualifiers that you met this evening at 5:30 p.m. There's a great opportunity at Extraco Banks on North Valley Valley Mills to see those students do their presentations and get a preview of what we think are the gold medal winning entries for National History Day. And then the last thing I'd like to highlight is on Saturday, June 16th, we'll have the Juneteenth parade starting at 10 a.m. at the Paul Quinn College building and heading down Elm Street. We have students from across the district who are a part of this, and it's really a great moment for the community and for our students. So, thank you.
Mr. Beer. Any other announcements from the dais? Hearing no objection, 8:50 will stand adjourned.